Hey guys, how's it going? This is Waj, and in this video I'm going to be arguing why the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 is a much better phone than the Apple iPhone 6 Plus. So if you're interested in either of these phones, I'll tell you why it might be a good idea to select this one over this one. So let's get right into it. Now starting off, my number 10 reason of why the Note 4 is better has to do with memory. It has user expandable memory, which means that if you take a look at the back of the phone, you have a micro SD expansion slot, allowing you to upgrade the internal media storage up to 128 gigabytes. It's a feature that is a tried and true reasons why a lot of people get these Samsung phones. And another thing, getting media onto the Note 4 is very easy because it has full OTG support. So if you have an OTG cable, all you do is plug it in a USB hard drive or thumb drive, and you're ready to go. It makes movie watching and photo transferring and just managing data very, very simple, and makes it really a full-on computer in that regard. Now, my ninth favorite reason has to do with the S Pen. Now, obviously, you can still use your fingers to navigate through the phone, and it's a full-on capacitive touchscreen like the iPhone, but because you have this S Pen, you can do a lot more precise work. So you can take notes, and there is a ton of features that Samsung is cramming into here to make this thing as productive as possible. So sure, it might be not as intuitive as using your fingers all the time, but if you need to get some precise note-taking done and really get a tactile sensation of putting information onto the screen and you really utilizing that large screen, this is still a great option that a lot of people still use. At number 8 has to do with the heart rate monitor at the back of the Samsung Note 4. This is actually a feature that I use quite a bit. If I'm doing any kind of exercising or running or things like that, I always, at the end of whatever session, I check my heart rate, and it becomes a routine, and it integrates really well with the S Health app, which measures your day-to-day activities in terms of running and walking. So as a whole health-related package, it's certainly a useful feature that I like to use. And additionally, this year on the Note 4, they've actually made this a button for you to take selfies with. So if you're taking a look at the front-facing camera, you can actually take photos by just going over that heart rate monitor, and you'll snap a selfie. So pretty handy there. The seventh pick has to do with the gesture controls and the air view mode. So in terms of gesture controls, you can basically hover your hand over the screen if it's off, and it'll turn on the screen. It works very intuitively, and you can check your missed calls and things like that, and messages. So it's a very handy feature that I use every day, and something that's certainly not in the iPhone 6 Plus. The other cool thing about Air View is you can hover over photos and text and magnify them by not even touching the screen. So another handy feature utilizing that large screen very well. Number 6 has to do with the user replaceable battery. So if you take a look at the back of this phone, you can actually take out the battery and replace it, which makes it really, really great for people that do a lot of traveling around the world where they don't have access to power on a regular basis. So you can buy just a whole bunch of these batteries over here and theoretically never need to plug in. And that certainly is not an option that you find on this metal chassis over here on the 6 Plus. My number 5 pick has to do with the fact that the iPhone 6 Plus has 1 gigabyte of RAM, the same amount of RAM that we found in the last generation of iPhone, and this thing has 3 gigs of RAM. So in order to be a proper super smartphone, you can't really have 1 gig of RAM these days and really charge super smartphone money, because believe it or not, this thing is a little bit more expensive than the Note 4. And the 3 gigs of RAM really helps well with my number 4 pick, which is true multi-window multitasking support on the Note 4. Now, the iPhone 6 Plus basically has dual pane modes on certain apps, so you can get kind of the experience they got on an iPad, where you have like emails on one side and your inbox on the other, but you can't really run 2 applications at the same time and view them on one single screen. And that's certainly the case on the Note 4 side, which has both split screen multitasking mode in both horizontal or vertical orientation, as well as a brand new feature which involves free moving pop-up windows. So this is kind of something you would experience on a more traditional desktop environment, where you can actually slide down your applications and put them in little windows. And thanks to its large screen and very high resolution display, you can actually utilize all those windows and have a whole bunch of these windows with a whole bunch of your different apps and move them freely dynamically to be as productive and as efficient as possible. Now, my third favorite reason has to do with the new rapid charging features on the Note 4. Now, if you're completely run out of juice, you can plug this in, and within 30 minutes time, you'll get from 0 to 50% charge, which is truly remarkable. It's a feature I think every smartphone should have. Now, if you own the Note 4, running out of battery is certainly going to be a rare occurrence because it has a very large battery inside, larger than what the iPhone 6 Plus has, as well as a couple of different power saving modes, which should get you up to 2 days of battery performance, and that's certainly better of what the iPhone can do. Now, coming down to the wire, my number 2 reason has to do with cameras. Basically, the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 has better cameras both at the front and the back, quite significantly in fact. Taking a look at the front camera, it has a 3.7 megapixel sensor versus the 1.2 megapixel sensor on the 6 Plus. It also has a much wider field of view, making video conferencing and selfies really come into its own, as well as a better color reproduction, not to mention clarity overall thanks to that higher resolution sensor. But the real big advantage is obviously to do with the rear-facing camera. It is a monster of a rear-facing camera. It has optical stabilization like the iPhone 6 Plus, and in some cases I even got better results on the optical stabilization on here than on the 6 Plus, but your results may vary. But in terms of sheer image quality, we're looking at 16 megapixel stills and 4K at 30 frames per second, which is pretty darn remarkable. And you're taking a look at the image quality between these two things, you want to definitely check out the video that we already made doing a head-to-head comparison between the full front and rear facing cameras. So definitely check that video out and you'll see what I mean by how the Note 4 definitely has a better camera overall than the 6 Plus. Now, my number 1 reasons why anybody would pick the Note 4 over the iPhone has to be really the whole notion of the phablet. The whole reason why people want large phones is to have a large screen. And this is certainly a little bit of a larger screen, 5.7 versus 5.5 inch. But the big thing over here is that the screen is really the star of the device. If you take a look at the display right over here, it is extremely vibrant. It has organic LED technology, so the black levels are infinite in terms of contrast ratio. Anything that's black will be pitch black, so excellent for movie watching and things like that. And even though it can be a little bit daunting in terms of oversaturation and extreme hyper-realistic colors, you can dial that down, and that's the best thing about OLED, is that it can look like any kind of display that you want because of its color reproduction properties and how it illuminates the screen itself. And the big thing over here is obviously the resolution. It has 2560 by 1440. Now, most people say anything over 400 ppi is not going to make a difference, but if you take a look at this screen and take a look at what the iPhone 6 Plus can do, you can see a difference. That's because the 515 ppi count definitely comes out at you. It almost looks three-dimensional in terms of its clarity. And the big thing over here is the software integration of how resolution is managed in Android is much better dealt with than iOS. Pretty much most of your apps that you're going to download, whether it be third-party or otherwise, are not optimized for the 1080p resolution on the 6 Plus. So if you're getting this phone, chances are that if you use a special kind of app, it's going to look pretty terrible considering the kind of resolution and the kind of display it is, which is certainly kind of unfortunate based on what this phone can do. And the screen is quite great, make no exception about it, but it is another league when you take a look at the Samsung Note 4's display. And again, the whole reason why you would get a large phone like any of these is because of the display, and this is still the king of all displays. But other than that, guys, that's really it. Now keep in mind that this video really focused on the highlight and the standout features of the Note 4 over the 6 Plus. Now, the 6 Plus is still a tremendously good phone. It has lots of advantages. And if you're interested in hearing the counter argument, check back to the end of this video where you'll get a chance to click on my video where I discuss the top 10 reasons why the 6 Plus is better than the Note 4. And if you want a full-on comparison between these two smartphones head-to-head in a full 22-minute comparison, check out our channel where you'll find that video. But other than that, guys, if you like this video, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. That helps us out tremendously. And thank you so much for your support. We'll see you later. Take care.